Hello and welcome. We are taking a look at the Vagrant Story, a game for the PlayStation 1, and first thing that we are going to learn is nothing ruins a good picnic like somebody murdering your whole family. Okay, don't let the graphics fool you. This is actually a PlayStation 1 game and not a next-gen title. This came out in the year 2000, so it's a late PlayStation 1 title. And it is made by SquareSoft, and you can probably tell that just by looking at the clothing of these dudes here. Yes, A Vagrant Story is somewhat of a cult classic, and there is two good reasons for that. One is that it is a very good game, and the second reason is that it probably didn't sell that well when it came out. It introduces lots of neat ideas that unfortunately were not translated into the later SquareSoft games. The game is not without its problems. Most of them come from the fact that the PlayStation 1 hardware had some limitations, and the others come from some bad gameplay design decisions. 99% of the time this just means that the game is wasting your time, and that might not be a huge problem to everyone, but it is something that stands out when comparing it against modern video games. That said, this game has mostly good things to offer, and one of those amazing things that this game has is something that we just saw, and that is a cutscene. It does these really nice cutscenes that remind you of Metal Gear Solid. One other thing that reminds me of Metal Gear Solid is our main hero Ashley Riot, who is a risk breaker, a Parliament special agent who goes to these solo infiltration missions that are very hush-hush. Sounds sort of familiar, right? Okay, onto the gameplay. Let's see if we get some sweet loot. Some curative items. Great. It is actually great because those are kind of rare in this game. And let's try our standard attack against this dummy. Okay, now it's time to test some chain abilities that we unlocked. But first I will put on these indicators because these are going to tell us valuable information about our weapons and equipment. Now I will assign heavy shot to the circle button and rest to the square and triangle buttons, and the impact card is quite useful in the defense. Let's try those out. So you do your standard attack and then you try to time your follow-up attack. And if your timing is correct, you can achieve a combo, and you can continue that combo as long as your timing is correct. But you have to alter between your attacks. You cannot do the same attack twice in a row. So in the early part of the game that is a little bit of problem because the animation on the attacks are quite odd. You get better attacks for that later on, and that is our save point where we could save our game. And of course it's the only way to save the game. And those save points are kind of rare, so keep an eye out for those. Okay, here are some real opponents like bats and wolves, and opportunities to use the impact card that I am missing, mostly because I am trying to activate my sphere there, my targeting sphere, which is on the same button as the impact card, the circle button. And because at its core the combat system is timing based, it can lead to some troubles if you are impatient like I am. These are puzzle boxes that are used for puzzles in this game. The puzzles are usually quite easy to figure out but take lots of time to actually finish. because of the control system, and can be quite annoying because the puzzles reset when you re-enter the room. So yes, right now I'm fighting against the standard enemies, wolves and bats, which is not that terribly exciting. But soon we will get into the ghouls, ghosts and zombies, and after that dragons, human enemies and that sort of stuff. Oh, there's a bat there. Let's see. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay. I did not mean to exit the room. The movement is free, but this game is based on this grid-based system, and sometimes you really feel that in the movement. Most of the time you won't notice it, but when you have to do some platforming, which is not often, but when precision is required, you would hope that the controls would be tighter. The game is actually pretty hard if you don't know what you're doing. And one thing that you should be doing is using a certain kind of weapon against certain kind of enemies. And by this I mean, let's see when I attack this bat if something happens. Yes, you can see that there was this indicator that said Beast +1, Phantom -1. And what that meant that because I attacked this type of enemy with this weapon, that weapon is now a little bit better against the beast type enemies and a little bit worse against the phantom type enemies. And what you should do is attack only certain kind of enemies with certain weapons. So you have one weapon against beasts and the other against phantoms. And that goes for every enemy type in the game. And that will make your adventure a whole lot easier. You could do that with different elemental types also, but because the inventory space is so limited that... Okay, I forgot that there was a trap there. Yes, this game has also traps, and they can be quite deadly. What was I saying? Yes. You don't have enough inventory space to carry weapons for every type of damage. You basically have 8 slots for your weapons, and that is enough. But if you would make a weapon for every affinity and for every damage type, because the damage type can also be like blunt damage, edged damage or piercing damage, you would have to do so much of inventory management that you would go crazy and would never be able to finish this game. Okay, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but there is a wolf riding a cloudstone. I repeat, a wolf riding a cloudstone, and god damn it, he bit me in the head. Oh, and critical hits. Nice. Okay, let's see. I believe there is something here. Yes. That is container, a special kind of chest that you might remember from Resident Evil 1. And that means if you put an item into the chest, you can retrieve it from any other container within the game world. Unfortunately, retrieving or storing an item requires usage of memory card. You have to save after you have used the container. And because this is PlayStation 1, that takes a whole lot of time. It is like a couple of minutes if you just have to take one armor piece out of there. And that can be a annoying process. Okay, a little backtracking here. This is about half hour into the game and I have been into this area previously. I couldn't open this door, but let's see what's behind it. a dude that is in very bad shape. Or was in very bad shape. Oh yes, the game events take place on a Leamond where the legend says the dead will rise and walk the streets. And it might seem that those legends are not complete horseshit. Like I previously said, you should use different kinds of weapons for different kinds of enemies. And since the axe I have is quite bad at everything, I will go for the bow gun, more commonly known as the crossbow. And let's see. Headshot could seem like a good idea against the undead, but unfortunately things don't work like that in this game. Usually against the undead the best option is to attack their arms if they have a high hit percentage. Mainly because if you do enough damage, their attack power will decrease. Okay, I got some sweet loot, a rapier, and I also gained a new chained ability. That is like a equivalent of leveling up in this game, so I will go for the Mind Assault, mainly because the animation of it is quick and straightforward, and adding that to the chain combo is extremely easy timing wise. And it is usually good against enemies that tend to use lots of magic attacks. I believe the bowgun might be a bit too slow for these guys, mainly because there are 3 of them. So I will switch to rapier. It doesn't seem to have that many phantom points on it, so it won't do that much damage, but we will try it out, and we will have to also put on a shield. Unfortunately, there is no like quick set system here where you could choose one armor set quickly, one armor weapon combination set quickly. So you have to do everything manually, and that might take some time. But let's see. And since this is a SquareSoft game, your healing spells also damage the undead type enemies. Okay, that was a quick one. And oh, that's a good loot. Okay, I had to hold my mouth shut while I'm comboing there, because the best way to time those attacks is to go by the audio cues. Especially when you're playing this on a LCD screen or something that has a little bit of a lag issue. Okay, you might be thinking that comboing is the way to go all the time, but that might not be the case, because as you can see, every time I hit my risk goes up, and right now it is almost at 100, And that means that, okay, now it's 100. And that means that my chance to hit my opponent is 0. I can still do some damage to him if I combo my attack, and those additional hits will give him some damage, like the first attack will give 0, the second one will give 1 hit point, the third one will give 2, and so forth. So you can do damage while missing the enemy, but this is extremely slow way of dealing damage. And in these situations, if you don't have healing items that take away that risk, you have to do something else. And in this case, I'm trying to use my magic, but since the magic is also affected by the risk level, it also misses. So, option number 2, keep attacking some more. Okay, finally. And yes, some healing items, thank God. And new ability, let's see. Nothing great yet, so let's just take something, because you have to sort of spend this point to get to the better things. Oh yes, as you can see, now that I'm not wearing my weapons, my risk automatically goes down. Also, my hit points recharge very slowly, but they do, as do my magic points. And since the enemies here are pretty weak, I should not worry about the risk too much. Where the risk comes in play a bit more is when your enemies use magical attacks. And this is because most magic attacks are area of effect attacks, meaning that they can hit multiple times on a single casting. For example, if this wolf would throw a fire spell on me, it would hit every part of my body. And for every part of my body, if my risk would be at 0, the spell would do like 1 to 5 hit points worth of damage, which in total would be maximum 30 hit points worth of damage. But if my risk level would be this high, that same spell could do damage like 50 to 70 hit points for every body part. And that would mean that I would get tremendous amount of damage. More damage than I have hit points, which means I would die, like with just one spell. Game over. And to counter that, you could use these Vera roots, which, or other items that lower your risk level, but they are rare, and you should only use them when there is no other choice, or when you're making a video and you don't want your video to take 1,000 years. Okay, another ability. I don't remember that you could gain these so fast, but let's see. Instill is pretty good when you have a whole lot of new weapons, but I could use this to charge my rapier, so I will put that one to use, if I remember to use it. Let's actually look what is the status of our other weapons. So, that needs repairing soon, and almost every weapon needs a phantom point, so Instill is pretty good at this point. Okay, that door was a bit different. I think it means that this might be a boss fight. And since the disc is spinning like hell, it is a boss fight. Yes, this is Actually, I'm playing this from the original PlayStation 1 disc that is in the PlayStation 3 machine. I tried to use an emulator to record this, but unfortunately the game won't load properly. It will go through 1 or 2 loading screens and then freeze, so you cannot play this disc in emulator, which is a shame because it would be a whole lot easier to record this. Okay, since our risk is quite high, we want to use a Vera route here. Normally I would be waiting outside that door for my level to go down, but since that would be pretty dull thing to watch on a video, I just use an item here. And to make things faster, I will also use the strength down spell on an enemy, which will lower its defense. I don't know why that works, but somehow it also lowers their defense. And since our first hit did quite much damage, I am using this weapon. Although this is a phantom enemy, I'm using this beast weapon, mainly because it does so much damage and I don't think that any other weapon that I have would do as much. And now, if I can get some good chains, maybe... Wait, what? Okay, that was way quicker than I expected. Yeah! Okay, I'll take that. I wasn't expecting that, but I'll take that. And here is one of the few chances where you can increase your stats, and that is by using this roulette wheel. It spins and you have to press a button to stop it and you get something. It really doesn't matter that much what you will get, as long as you get high enough number. And that is pretty much everything that I intended to show you with this video. There is a whole lot more to this game, like the magic system, and then there is these gems and weapons and shields. You can take these gems and attach them to your weapons. Let's see if we can do that. I probably don't have anything. Okay, yeah, I could attach it to this spear, but this spear is crappy, so I won't do that. You could also attach them to shields, and those alter the stats of the item. You also find these workshops where you can repair your weapons. You can disassemble your weapons and assemble various components together to make new weapons. You can also combine blades, so you can take 2 blades and have their stats merge and make a better blade, and all those kind of neat things. But I do not have time or skills to explain everything in this video. If you are interested, try and play this game. If you're not convinced, try it anyway. This is a fantastic game and far too few people know about this game. And it is a shame. As a bonus, I will stop talking and let the whole intro sequence roll after this beep. Beep.